It's no doubt that Anastasia and Gisela Tremaine in Disney's animated Cinderella were really evil stepsisters, but as time went on in the Cinderella universe, only one of them stayed that way. This is the tale of how Anastasia Tremaine became the evil stepsister who turned good. See, while in the events of the first Cinderella film, Anastasia and Gisela were born to a wealthy, respectable couple named Lord and Lady Tremaine of an unknown place, possibly in France, right? But soon after they were born, Lord Tremaine passed away. It is unknown as to what caused him to pass away, though it is speculated that Lady Tremaine only married him for his wealth and then killed him once he stopped being useful, like she later would do with Cinderella's father, who she ended up marrying and possibly killed him off too. But instead of allowing them to mourn for the deaths of both fathers, Lady Tremaine encouraged Anastasia and Gisela to behave mean towards Cinderella, to abuse, humiliate her, and finally forced her to become a servant in her own home. But however, despite that, Cinderella remained gentle and kind. Anastasia wasn't, and because of that, Anastasia thought it was always easy for Cinderella in that regard, as she said at one point in Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True. Oh, what do you know? You're beautiful. It's always been easy for you. And when an invitation to a royal ball came out, and we see something in the two stepsisters, they wanted the opportunity to have someone who they could spend the rest of their lives with. Of course, they only wanted to marry the prince for his riches, not wanting to get to know him as a person. When Cinderella, unbeknownst to Lady Tremaine, when Cinderella, when Cinderella unexpectedly had her end of Lady Tremaine's deal, both Gisela and Anastasia took part in the most heartbreaking act of them all, tearing Cinderella's dress off her body. That's even more traumatic when you consider that dress belonged to Cinderella's biological mother. But that night, Anastasia did not meet her future husband, as the prince had his eye on another, Cinderella. So when the Grand Duke and his footman came to Cinderella's chateau, presented the glass slipper, Anastasia and Gisela couldn't fit in it. Couldn't fit into glass slipper. Unlike, the original fairy tale where they literally cut off chunks of the hair on their own feet to put it on. Eventually, Cinderella came down to join the slipper, but Lady Tremaine broke it. But Cinderella revealed she had the other slipper, and then she was taken away to marry the prince, and they lived happily ever after. Now, Cinderella allowed her stepfamily to continue living in Cinderella's chateau, only without her doing all the chores. Lady Tremaine had her own daughters do the chores instead. Now, Anastasia still wanted to love someone to love her beloved in return. To Walter, why do I write a happy ending where the prince will marry me? But this is where things kind of get complicated. There were actually 2 timelines of everyone's story in the Cinderella universe. One depicted in Cinderella 2 Dreams Untrue and Cinderella 3 A Twist in Time. They kind of like continuity with one another, right? So let's start with Cinderella 2 Dreams Untrue, okay? In the last segment of Cinderella 2 Dreams Untrue, Cinderella had invited her stepfamily to a royal ball, and Lady Tremaine decided to take the opportunity to marry Anastasia and Gisela off to high respectable men. Now, Anastasia would have continued down that path if she didn't smell that lovely smell of baked bread coming from the baker's bakery. She wandered in and saw the bake, looked in the baker's eyes, and found love at first sight. However, love came with many obstacles, and this obstacle's name was Lady Tremaine. She took Anastasia away from the baker, stating that everything in the shop was inferior, and thinking that the baker was inferior as well. Fortunately for Anastasia, Cinderella witnessed the exchange and decided to get them together. Now, Anastasia was reluctant to accept Cinderella's help, thinking that it was always easy for her, as I stated earlier. Now, however, she took Anastasia back to the palace and gave her a makeover and gave her advice on how to impress the baker. Unfortunately, it almost didn't come to pass, as Anastasia saw the baker with someone else, which made her run off in tears. But in reality, the baker was actually asking this woman if what Anastasia would think of the flowers. However, the baker managed to find her and reconcile with her. However, Lady Tremaine interrupted them again, and Gisela claimed that it'll be the laughing stock of the entire town. So, but however, Anastasia defined her mother to be of the baker, right? And they attended the ball and lived happily ever after. Now, this would only be possible in the original timeline as we know it as, but however, in Cinderella Through the Twist in Time, back when Anastasia was still living in her family in Cinderella's chateau, before she met the baker, she still wanted someone to love her and be loved in return. So she followed her Cinderella prince into the forest and discovered that magic was the reason that Cinderella came into a happy ever after. So when the fairy godmother drops her wanting for Anastasia, she still took her and brought it to her family. But Lady Tremaine and Gisela were not dismissive of the powers at first, but after they watched Anastasia and the fairy godmother wrestle with the wand, and Anastasia turned the fairy godmother into a dark gnome, Lady Tremaine used the wand to go back in time to just before when the Grand Duke came for the shoe testing, and she magics the wand to fit Anastasia's foot. So therefore, she must be the girl who the prince had fallen in love with, right? As in the animated scene in the first Cinderella, that's exactly how it would have ended. But no, that's not what happens in this film. When Anastasia is presenting the prince, he realizes the possibility of the supermobile girls in that kingdom. So, as he was about to tell the Grand Duke to escort Anastasia home, Lady Tremaine uses the wand to alter the prince's mind to make him think he danced with Anastasia that night. And he proposes immediately, which Anastasia accepts immediately. Now, when Anastasia and the prince were having a dance session, and she hadn't stepped on his foot, the prince was understanding of the situation. But because Anastasia had not been shown real kindness or actual love up until that point, mistook that kindness for true romantic love. So, yeah. And then the king asked her for a word, and he told her that she reminded him of his late wife, the queen, his queen, because like her, she had red hair in ringlets, and she didn't know how to dance either. And he gave her his most prized possession, a seashell that he and the queen got when they first met. This touched Anastasia, and it was this turning point in which she realized that if she was going to marry the prince, she wanted him to love her for who she was. So yeah. And of course, the Jacques and Dress get the prince. They made him realize his son dressed well. He was in Cinderella, and they have the wedding. But however, Lady Tremaine wasn't going to give up yet. She turns Anastasia into Cinderella and tries to banish Cinderella and make her fall to her death in a rotten pumpkin pouch with Lucifer as the coachman. In case you didn't already know, making Anastasia into Cinderella and marrying her to Prince in that way is actually considered rape by deception. So yeah, Anastasia wasn't at all sure if she wanted to go through with the marriage. She doesn't think it's right. So when the time came to marry the prince, she says, I don't. And that was at the time when the real Cinderella barged into the wedding. And then Lady Tremaine got all furious and stuff, and I was like, after all I've done for you, you're brave, you little da. Yeah, and so just like the original timeline, where Anastasia defies her mother to be with the baker, she defied her mother in order to find someone who loves her for her. So Lady Tremaine tries to turn her into a toad, but Cinderella defended her. And then the prince used his sword to deflect the magic spell onto Lady Tremaine. And Anastasia then used the wand to turn back into her real self and make amends with the king and Cinderella. And then finally, both Cinderella and Anastasia lived happily ever after. So yeah, that's basically the story of how Anastasia Tremaine became the evil stepsister who turned good. But there's another source that really does a good job of it. See, in the short Twisted Tale on the envelope, a Twisted Tale Novella, Anastasia, after Cinderella's marriage to the prince, Anastasia tried to keep the family in order. And then when the postman arrived to give the stepfamily an invitation to Cinderella's wedding, she was waiting, but Lady Tremaine snapped it into get lost, and then the book revolves around Anastasia finding a letter from her biological father, Francis Tremaine, and she goes on that quest with the young postman to find out to his hometown to learn more about him. And it's implied at the end that he and her will end up together at some point, which contradicts Cinderella 2 Jeans Untrue and the ending of Cinderella 3 A Twisting Time, where she falls in love with the baker. Alright? So yeah, that's basically Anastasia's story. My question for you guys is, do you think Anastasia Tremaine should be a Disney princess? I know I talked about that in an earlier video, but yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys your opinion. And the second question is this. Should Anastasia have sung a parody of "So This Is Love" in Cinderella 3 A Twisted Time, where she mistook the prince's kindness for true love? Let me know in the comment section below. So until next time, let's roll tidings. What's inside that house? You wanna be a bride? It's what's inside that house.